Hey everybody, Skip Ranke coming to you from the Paragon Marketing Group studios for Main Street Marketing, where we talk about topics in today's world as it relates to marketing and how it can help you and your business. And today we are going to talk about video and how you should be using that in your business. And today we have Nate Kuphall, who is the maestro behind the camera for Paragon Marketing Group. He does all of our video work along with Alex, who's in Minnesota, but these guys are top notch, and we're going to talk a little bit about some topics today. And one of the things we're going to talk about, video. It's in demand. Everybody wants to have video. Let's talk a little bit about why it's in demand, Nate. What do you think that is?
It's what people are going to when they're online. It's you see it at home, your kids and you yourself. Video, everybody's kind of drawn to it, and it's engaging.
Right. Everybody's got something in their hand and they can click the button. They can click the play button.
Right.
It's a lot easier to watch something on screen than it is to read it. So it's a very important thing when you say it's engaging. People do like to get in there, and you'd always seem to find that when people are looking at the videos, they get into where they get a lot of comments and conversations. And we've seen that with some of our clients. They go out and they put videos out there, and all of a sudden you say, hey, that's a great video. Hey, I really loved it. And then when you respond to that, that helps you build up in the algorithm. Like when Paul was here, he talked about that. He talked about, he does a lot of LinkedIn stuff, and how when people respond to that, his video is now bumped up to the top. So yeah, they really get a lot of those comments. Do you comment a lot on videos when you see them?
Me personally, no,
Yeah.
but I do. I mean, it's everywhere, of course. Like YouTube comments. You post a video on YouTube, obviously,
Right.
And from there, you could start a big conversation.
Yeah.
Depending on what the topic is.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's shareable, then people, they'll share it with their friends, and
Yeah.
And it can snowball in some cases. If you got a really good, interesting story or something like that, then it can kind of go places for you.
Let's talk a little bit about that real quick. I'm going to go off on something. People think that I make this video, it's going to become viral. It's very far and in between. We're not going to make a video that's probably going to go viral unless you catch me falling off my chair and it's funny as hell, right?
Right.
Which I hope that never happens. But there's a misconception that everyone thinks that their videos are going to go viral. It's not a real good chance that it's going to go viral.
No, very rare chance that it's going to go viral. But at the same time, you do want to be able to get that stuff out to people, and just because it's not viral doesn't mean it's not going to be shared and passed around.
That's a very good point, because if it has a personal connection to you, then people will share it. It doesn't have to have 1 million hits. It doesn't have to be effective. So that's a really important point. I'm glad we made that. And when we talk about that leads me right into differentiation. You always want to separate yourself from the crowd. You don't want to look like your competitor. You don't want to do the same exact thing. So let's talk a little bit about differentiation. We see it all the time, but is there anything you want to add when it comes about differentiation and what you can do in video?
Well, that's the number one question, right? It's how can I stand out from, the maybe a shop just down the street that's doing something very similar to me. Mm-hmm. So video is one way that you can do that, because it's always going to be 100% custom. You can do all kinds of different things with it. You can do something funny. You can do be a little more personal.
Right.
Local, or whatever that is. Differentiation is a huge point in video, and in trying to set yourself apart.
And when we do videos, and the biggest thing is, you've got people that grab their phones and they got their hands out here and they're taking their video, and that might be fine for some things if you're on location or something along those lines. But the difference between somebody who makes their own videos to working with professionals like us, that creates even more of a differentiation, because you can have a video that's created well, or you can have a video that's created professionally, and there's a difference there. Let's talk about why that is.
Absolutely, because everybody can tell the difference between an amateur video and a professionally done video. Right. It's not hard. So basically, one of the big things today is, and this feeds into kind of how the expense for video has changed. It's not nearly as expensive as it used to be.
Right.
In terms of specifically the technology. Yeah. Technology these days has come a long way, and it's made the equipment much easier to access. That's not to say, though, that you don't need a professional though anymore in terms of like trying to make a video that looks and sounds and just feels like the professional version of what you want.
You got the trained eye is an asset in and of itself. You've got that. I mean, I've seen Nate in action when we're on a set, and I've seen him. He says, "Oh, no. Wait, let's do this. Let's try this." And you're deep. You get in a zone, and it comes through with some of the things that we do, and in fact, everything that we do. So it's amazing. But when we talk about how videos are engaging, we talk about how it creates differentiation. There's also an element that it creates of trust, right? And when we talk about that, there's business owners that are involved with that, and we talk about testimonials and reviews. And we always tell our clients, get reviews, because Google wants them, and everybody wants to see reviews because they like to read the reviews and ultimately will make decisions. But the power of a video testimonial, let's talk about that for a second.
So basically the power of a video testimonial is you're hearing it from the customer or the client.
Right.
It's not, I mean, even Google reviews, in some cases, I mean, you might question.
They could be. They may not be written exactly from that person. We see that all the time, and
but
that's true.
but that aside, it says something when somebody's willing to get on camera to give you a good testimonial.
Yeah,
that is huge
right.
for building trust with other people, because when other people see that, hey, this person worked with you and they have a lot of good things to say. I mean, that's huge for building trust.
Because that person took time out of their day or out of their schedules in order to do that. You're right. That says a whole thing. And it says a whole different message to the consumers out there. And that makes total sense. But, one of the other thing that I know video does, and we've used it, and we a lot of other people have used it too, and you see it today all over the place, is it adds clarity. There's really there's no gray area when you're working with it. I mean, it explains who you are, what you do about your product and service. But one of the biggest things that we've talked about is the why, the power of the why, and how that ties in. And when you talk about the why in videos, it creates emotion. Let's talk about emotion in video.
Right. Well, I mean, we'll start with specifically clarity in terms of getting your point across.
Right.
So, when it specifically comes across when you're trying to create a video from point A to point B. Okay. You start with the pre-production where you got, your scripting, and you're trying to figure out how you're going to get, across your point, your message, your product, your service. You're showing, what it does or what you do. So being able to package that in a really compact form is really helpful for especially people who don't have maybe a lot of time on their hands, and they see a short video,
sure,
maybe on your website, about your product or service. Maybe it's just 2 minutes, and if you can compact everything that you are into that small space, that can be really powerful.
Yeah, and that takes time. I mean, let's face it. I mean, we do these day in and day out, and sometimes it's hard to put everything into 2 minutes, but by God's graces, we get it done sometimes, right. And you're like, oh boy. But I want to go back to emotion. I'm glad you went back to clarity on that. But let's talk about emotion. Everything today is in emotions. I mean, whether what you're going to have for lunch, what kind of granite you're going to buy for your countertops, what are you going to do for your cupboards? There's all emotion tied into that. How does video pull out emotion?
Depending on the type of video you're creating, of
sure.
course. I mean, there's a lot of different types of emotions you can actually go to.
Mm-hmm.
You can have funny videos. You could have videos that pull on the heartstrings, and
right.
Or you're talking about some people like the history of businesses and stuff like that. But emotion is, of course, a big factor when it comes to getting your clients or your customers, a little more invested in what you do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there'll be obviously a lot of the goal is that they'll monetarily invest in, right. in what you offer, but to get them emotionally invested as well, that can be a really big thing in terms of kind of taking it to the next level.
Yeah, and you talk about there's a monetary investment into that to purchase your product or your service, but there's also people can tie emotion to videos and then share it with somebody they know that are going through that or need something that if it's a service or a product, whatever that is, if they know that their friend, family, coworker has got that issue going on, they're emotionally attached because they're emotionally attached to somebody else.
Exactly.
So then they can share it to you, and it may not be directly from that person, but it could come from somebody else. So that's a really interesting point.
Right. And that also goes back to sharing again, where, if, it's one thing to go out and you're looking for a product or service and you find a video on a website. You click it, you watch it, but then it's another thing if somebody actually shares a video with you. That goes back to trust again. When somebody's recommending something,
Right.
It's a completely different thing.
No, because the trust, and then you get the clarity because the message was clear and it brought in that emotion, and then that person shared it. So yeah, it's absolutely what it does. But one of the final points I want to talk about is, what does video do for your brand? Right? I mean, it brings your brand to life. I mean, it really, really makes it pop, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I also go to how video, again, shows people what you do. You can show them how your product works. You can show them how, what your service does and how you operate. Showing people is, in my opinion, way better than just telling them. So
no, that's a good point. I mean, especially when it comes to, when you want to make sure that you're going back to clarity, you're going back to trust, you're going back to emotion. But when you can show somebody that, I mean, a picture's worth 1,000 words. I mean, people have said that time and time again. But we think a video's worth much more than just a picture, right? I mean, pictures are great, don't get me wrong. But if you can add music to a video, if you can take that one, if the choice of a musical choice for a video can make the difference of the video being here to here.
It can. It just, one small thing can bring it from that low point to way up high.
Yeah.
So just that choice.
And that's the difference between working, again, that's the difference between working with professionals and just picking something up, because there's things you do inside of a video with regards to music, how it's timed, where it hits. And there's a lot of things that go along
And you're
with
right
it.
about timing too. Timing is one of those things that a lot of people don't think about with video, particularly because, the editor wants that.
Yeah.
The idea, points of a good editor are that you can't see what he's doing.
That is an excellent point.
So
I don't know how many times I've edited a video where I've gone back and back and back and forward, and I'm moving things around until I get it just right. So yeah, it takes time to do these things, but the payoff is huge. So thanks for coming on today, Nate. Again, this has been Main Street Marketing, brought to you from Paragon Marketing Group. We got a lot of great things coming up in the next couple of weeks. We've got some special guests coming on talking about goals. We got we have a marketing strategist who is a good friend of the agency going to be coming on and talking with us a little bit about that. We've got some new technologies with guys coming out. So Nate, he's our video maestro. This is the guy you got to have. So again, thanks for watching us today. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button because we got a lot of great stuff coming. Thanks a lot.